And we are live. We got some people there already. I don't know how come I never see that. Let's see, get hooked up here. There we are. Okay. So, we've got, a new person. Billy Weathered. Hi, Billy. I hope I'm saying your name right. And Andy is here. Says, hi, Stephen Walter. Looking forward to today's live session. So we'll just give another few minutes and see who else joins us. And those of you that are already connected, let us know if you can see us and hear us okay. Oh, Bootsy Sweet Tarts is here. Hi, boys. Fancy glasses. No umbrellas. Ran out of umbrellas, Roy. Sorry. And what's in the glasses, Andy says? Well, explain the cocktail of the day.
Well,
we're a little off center here.
Strawberries, raspberries, vodka, peach schnapps, orange juice.
Just about everything in the cupboard.
Crushed ice. A little bit of sugar.
Yep, Julie's here. Hi, Julie. Hi, Virginia. Yeah, so it's whatever's left over. We had people here yesterday, for the weekend, and we had dinner last night, and so we had some fruit and things left over from dessert, so Walter decided to make it into a cocktail. Sort of a variation of a frozen strawberry daiquiri. Okay, so let's get on with today's stuff. So, and what we're eating. Leftover hors d'oeuvres from yesterday, 3 kinds of cheese, and some little pita rounds that I put a little homemade garlic butter on. Walter likes to make his own garlic butter. So, okay. What's up with my mother? Oh, Carol's here. Hi, Carol. So, not much. I just tried to call her about half an hour ago. It takes her forever to get to the phone, which is usually right next to wherever she's sitting in her wheelchair. But she picked it up. I let it ring for quite a few times, knowing that it's going to take her a while to get onto it. She picked up the phone. I heard her hit a button, the wrong button, and then nothing. So I figured she didn't manage to hit the talk button. I've talked to her about this many times before. And when I went to phone her back, the line is busy. And I tried 10 minutes later, and the line's still busy because she's now got it off the hook. So I'm off the hook for having to talk to her today. We're going over to visit her on Tuesday anyways, but I'm telling you, and she told me last week, well, I don't know what's wrong with me, but every time the phone rings, I freeze up. Well, what do you say to that? I don't know. Well, why? I said, well, why do you freeze up? Well, I don't know. I just get nervous. It's a phone. Take your time. Push the talk button.
She probably gets nervous because she's afraid she can't get it.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Laura's here. Hi, Laura. And Cindy's here. And Catherine's here. Hi, all. So anyways, she's fine. So move on. What's coming up on the vlog tomorrow? Well, I've got the second part on my series of making the Photofolio scrapbook. That's from one of those kits that I've been purchasing from my local scrapbook store, Class Act. They're from a company in India called iCraft. And they're kind of interesting to make them, and some people told me they're kind of enjoying my series on this, so I'm carrying on with that. And then tomorrow, I don't know what else I'm showing tomorrow. I have quite a list of things, but well, you'll have to tune in tomorrow when it gets posted and see what we're talking about. Roy says, sounds like my late mother-in-law. She took the phone off the hook in those days of all the time, just because. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, she hits the talk button, which is also the hang up button. So she hits the talk button, but then never hits the hang up button.
Yeah. So, the talk button's on this side. The hang up button's on this side.
Yeah.
It's not the same button.
No, okay.
But she gets her fingers all over the place. And
her fingers, well, part of the problem is these phones all have little buttons on it.
So she hits
and her
several.
fingers aren't that big, but she somehow gets them all over them.
She has a little trouble, I think, manipulating her hands a little bit. And so she's always pushing things. I guess it was quite funny. We were over there to visit her this past week. And I guess my sister said that there was something wrong with her TV set. or the remote. It wouldn't shut off the TV. So we went over and took a look, and she has two remote controls because one of them got lost and it reappeared again, and I got her an extra one. And yeah, the problem was this: you couldn't press down the off button because she must have dropped the remote on the floor at one time, and the casing had sort of semi pulled off a little bit, separated. Just a question of snapping it back on. And once you did that, the buttons were usable, but it was also the batteries were dead or getting dead. So I got her new batteries. And my sister said when she'd gone over to check this, and my sister didn't realize that the casing had popped up on the thing, so she couldn't get it turned off either. But she said she checked on my mother's menu. She's got like the Bell 5 TV and with the PVR. And my mother doesn't know how to operate the PVR to record things, but because she's pressing buttons all the time, I guess she had recorded 192 shows. So my sister kind of cleaned that all up, wiped them out. So that's something I guess I'll have to check every now and then when I go over there to see if she's filling up her PVR with stuff that she doesn't realize is even there. But anyways, so, oh yeah, and my sister said, I noticed when we came back from Australia, she had a different set of headphones on. And I said, where'd you get those? And she said, oh, one of the nurses had an extra pair or somebody left behind or something. They were just really cheap ones. In fact, we saw them in the dollar store. They were $4. But she seemed to like those better because her other pair, well, she didn't know where those had gone. What did she say?
Well, she didn't know. Before we left for Australia, she was talking about getting another pair. And we just kind of assumed that the other pair, she got these from this other nurse. But your sister said that the other pair she had were broken. No,
Yeah.
She never said that.
But my mother didn't tell me that. And she says, yeah, they're broken. And so when we were over there, I went through her dresser drawer and came up with the headphones and said, I thought you said you lost these. Well, no. And I said, well, they're broken. Lori told me that they're broken, my sister. And it looked like they'd probably gotten shoved into a drawer and the drawer got slammed on them. They were really cheap headphones when I got them for her. They were like $10 at Staples, kind of a deal. So anyways, I said to her, she kept complaining, well, these headphones keep falling off. But it's kind of funny and it's kind of sad at the same time. She wears the headphones on her cheeks, not on her ears. And she's got the volume turned up so loud, she actually hears it through her cheekbones with it. I don't know how she stands it. Well, I know that she's got a little bit of problem with her hearing. But anyways, I said, Mom, your ears are up here, not down there. But so I said,
you tried on the headphones and said, oh, wow, they were loud.
Oh, yeah, it was just deafening with them. If you weren't deaf before, you were after that. So I went out and we got her another pair of headphones that, I don't know, she seems to like them. They were a little bit more expensive, but I thought they might fit a little better on her head and wouldn't be falling down. But we'll see when that comes about. What are people? Anita's here. Hi, Anita. And Laura's here. Laura says, my health woes. Torn cartilage and MRI next month to see if I need surgery. Oh, that's not good, Laura.
Mm-mm.
In her knee, she says. Oh, that's not good at all. And yeah, Anita, they are sort of fruit daiquiris. They look like strawberry, but there's a mixture of things in there.
There's strawberry and raspberry.
And raspberry,
and
yeah.
orange juice.
Yeah, Walter was we're getting our vitamins from our fruits. The best way to enjoy your fruit. What kind of booze is in it?
Vodka.
Oh, a little vodka
And a
goes a
little
long
bit
way.
of peach snaps.
That reminds me of years ago when I first started teaching. So it's been many years ago. I got a teaching job. My first teaching job was back at my old high school where I had graduated. And I was working with the teachers that taught me. And there was one teacher, she was an older lady, well, quite an older lady. And when I was a kid in high school, I had her 3 different years for English. She was my English teacher, grade 9, grade 11, grade 13. We had grade 13 back then. And she was like a very prim, very proper, very smart lady. You did not step out of line in her class, I can tell you that. She never raised her voice except once in a year, and when she did, everybody pretty much crapped their pants right there. So I was a little intimidated when I first got my teaching job there, having to work with her. First of all, her name was Mrs. Warren, and that's what I called her. But everybody in the department called her Hester. That was her first name, and it took me years before I could call her Hester. I had a great deal of respect for this lady too. But every year I would throw a little Christmas soiree at my apartment. Most days I lived in an apartment. And I had made this punch this first year when I had it. And it was my mother's recipe. And it was basically, it's lemonade and some other stuff. I forget what's in it, and ginger ale. And so it's quite good. Everybody always likes it. So Hester, she's dipping into it for her second cup of this. And of course I'd spiked it. And she goes, "This punch is absolutely delightful. Can I ask you what's in it?" And I went, "Well, there's this, there's that, there's this." And then I said a 26er of vodka. And she didn't even miss a beat. She just said, "Well, I have always found that vodka does make a good base." So it was after then I started calling her Hester. Figured this lady is lots of fun. And over the years I found out how much fun she was. She was quite different when you're on the other side of the desk, kind of a thing. But anyways, I don't know that I brought that up. Bootsy says, Roy says, "It's always so sad when someone who had the strength, smarts, and courage to see us through to adulthood is now so weak and unable to care for herself." Yes, that's true. I don't know what to do with her. Well, she's in a place where she gets looked after, so oh well, whatever. Tracy's here. And anyways, yeah, Laura, look after yourself because knee problems are not good. Walter knows.
Yeah. Well, actually, technically, I didn't really have
It wasn't really a
problem
knee.
other than I severed my tendon.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that was a thrill.
yeah.
No.
Well,
My father had both his knees replaced, but he was in pain for years before he had that done. And after his knees were replaced, his hips started to go. Because for so many years he walked because of his knees and the pain and everything, and it was cartilage on cartilage. It made him walk funny, and that threw his hips kind of out of alignment to the point where he probably would have had to have a hip replacement if he was still alive. But, which reminds me, when we go to see my mother on Tuesday, say nothing about my father.
oh yeah, that's
Because on Tuesday, that marks the fifth anniversary of his passing. And I don't know if my mother will remember that or not. I'd rather not bring it up.
Well, I don't usually talk about your dad.
Well, no, because I don't want to upset my mother.
No. Yeah, like when I had the accident and I had severed the tendon in my left leg that connects your kneecap to your shin, and so I had to be mobilized for 6 weeks after the operation to reattach it. And because of that, I lost. But because of that, I lost all my muscle tone in my left leg, and I had to relearn how to walk. And it's in 6 weeks you lose all your muscle strength, but it takes you a year to regain back the strength to fully get your leg functional again. And I had to do a lot of exercises and everything. And I can tell you one thing: it really limits your mobility when you lose muscle tone in your lose muscle tone in your legs.
Well, Laura says she knows she missed the step going down her apartment building stairs. That's how hers happened, and basically that's what happened with you. You missed the step, and you caught your...
Well, I slipped on the ice after getting out of the hot tub.
Yeah.
And
There may have been
and
booze.
the corner, yeah, there was a bit of booze involved in there too. And my knee, I slipped and I fell and hit the corner of the step and heard this huge pop, and I was in a lot of pain. And basically, I severed the tendon.
I think we've told that story before.
Yeah, it could be.
too. So,
Was it tendon or something?
well, I don't know, whatever it was that you had. But anyway, so Laura, are you able to function at school with your knee like this? Because I don't imagine that's really pleasant.
No.
She says, "I don't know how I'll manage. I live alone now." Oh, Laura says, "I heard a pop too."
Oh.
Oh.
Well, I heard a pop, but what happened is afterwards, my leg was useless. After that, I could not actually stand up.
Sort of.
Yeah, like like my leg was hanging there, and the doctor said raise it, and it was impossible to raise it because there was nothing attached at the front, right? So she wanted me to do that with my leg, right? But you can't do that when your tendon is severed. So I could not walk.
So hopefully that's not your problem, Laura.
Yeah.
I mean, no, when it comes to your knees, anyways, I mean, I've known so many people over the years that have had knee problems or have knee problems, and it's not fun by the sounds of things. So hopefully you'll be okay soon with that. She said she couldn't walk for nearly a week. But she can walk now. So
Yeah, well, so you didn't actually sever a tendon.
No, you just
you may
have-
have damaged it, but you haven't
Yeah.
severed it.
well, it's not good. Okay. Oh well, speaking of things, we have doctor's appointments this week. You know that I've told you that our doctor is very, very thorough. So we went in, and it's funny. This time, she takes us in separate rooms. We go at the same time. She takes us in separate rooms and whatnot. She looks at our blood work that we had done the week before, and both of us suddenly have what she's came up underactive thyroids. Well, that's new, and funny that we both had it. That was it. Now she said to me, now she says, you've never had this before come up in a blood test. She says, so this might be just a one-off. So she gave me a thing to get blood work done in
Actually, what
three
was
months'
weird
time.
when they were taking the blood, for some reason, even with both of us, the blood seemed to have a hard time coming out.
Yeah, they're taking our blood, and usually I'm a bleeder. Like, there's no problem getting blood out of me.
Same.
And, she's sticking me with the needle, and then she's moving it around. That wasn't fun. I'm going to have a bruise there. Yeah, tell me about it. And nothing's coming out. She says, okay, can I try your other arm? And I said, yeah, go to town. Might as well have a matching set. And she was able to get it out of that arm. But you had the same problem.
I had the same problem, and I never have a problem. They never, because I used to, when after I had the leg problem, after I had it fixed, I had a problem where I had a blood clot in my leg. So I had to go on blood thinners. And I had to go I had to go get my blood taken every 2 weeks for like 2 years. So every time, mind you, I was on blood
Well,
thinners.
Tracy says dehydrated.
That could be.
Because we had just gotten back the week before that from Australia. And yeah, we were not, doing our usual stuff. And we did drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and alcohol can dehydrate you. So maybe that's it. So it just seemed funny that we both had this at the same time. And then she looks at my blood test or my blood pressure again. And she says, well, I keep a record of it. She wants me to do that. So I do. And I show her the latest chart. And she put me on, blood pressure pills back 3-4 months ago. And she says, well, your blood pressure at home is within the range. We always expect it to be a little bit higher when a doctor takes. It's called, what do they call it?
White coat syndrome.
White coat syndrome. I guess you're a little nervous or something like that. She says, but I would like to see it maybe a little bit better. So how do you feel about taking water pills? And I said, well, what are water pills? Water? She says, no, they work with your blood pressure medication, and we'll just give it a little extra boost or something like that. She says, if you want to try it, we can try it. And I says, well, if you think it'll help, okay. So I'm on those now. It's, you get over 60, suddenly the doctors rack you up on the pills.
Now, mind you, you said yes. I would have said no.
Well, I don't know. I'm trusting her to know the right thing. So, I don't. My other doctor never said anything about my blood
Well,
pressure.
she did
nothing.
put me on this other medication that I was on for like 4 years. And then I'm reading on the internet that you shouldn't be on it any longer than about 6 months.
What, for blood thinners?
No, when I was, she gave me that antacid type stuff.
Oh,
Right.
when you're having the heartburn problem.
Yeah, and so I basically quit it without asking her. I said, by the way, I said, you'll probably be mad at me. I said to her, I quit this drug. And actually, it was bad because after I quit it, I went through anxiety like crazy.
Oh,
And
well, that explains a few things.
so that apparently was a side effect of it. But anyway, so I probably should have asked her before I quit it, but I didn't.
Well, I don't know what to believe with doctors when it comes to pharmaceuticals, because GPs have some training in that, but they're pharmacists know more about drugs and stuff than a doctor does. So, and sometimes doctors, I know my old doctor, the pharmaceutical representative will come in and they give him a deal. So he switched me over from Lipitor to Crestor, and I asked him why he was doing that. Because Lipitor was doing its thing and whatnot. He said, "Oh well, he says Lipitor just sort of coats your whatever, and it's to keep the cholesterol from sticking to your arteries, whereas the Crestor actually wipes it out." Well, I did have a better rating when they did the blood tests to check my cholesterol after I used the Crestor, and I've been on the Crestor ever since, and that's quite a few years. But then he also gave me a little card so that when they filled the prescription, I would get original Crestor, but at a discounted price as opposed to the generic one. And then I asked him about that, and he says, "Oh, well, the generic ones, you're only getting about 80% of the original drug. The rest is filler. Whereas if you have the brand name, you're getting 100% of it."
I don't know.
I don't know.
Generic, so.
I don't know. So anyways, I've been on Crestor for years now, so I'll just stick with it. Hi, Jetty. Anita says, "Stephen, I have a diuretic water pill that's part of my blood pressure medication, and it does help." Okay. Well, that's what she said. It added boost to it. She said it won't make you go to the bathroom more often. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see.
I don't know. Have you been going to the bathroom more often?
Not anymore. No,
No.
my usual. I mean, 10, 20,000 times a day. No, I'm regular on that. Let's see. Anita says, "We just got back from an art exhibit at our major art museum. Saw lots of original paintings from Americans from 1800 to early 1990. That's okay. We haven't gone down to check the art gallery out much since
Lately, no.
since they fired us.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't fire us, but I told the story about there's no more docets at our
Well, not
gallery.
only that, we had told the guy last year, well, if he needed us to help out with anything, he could contact us. Well, he's never contacted
No,
us.
because he's an ageist. He's a young guy, and he figures because we're over 60 that we're too old to do anything and can't cope.
Yeah.
Oh, sweetie, I was coping when you were nothing more than a glint in your father's eye with crowds. Like, really? You stupid punk. So, doctor's appointment. So we're still alive. We had Easter dinner last Sunday, as you know, at my sister's. And that was kind of nice. But it was funny. Of course, the conversation came around to my mother. That's where I heard all the stuff about the headphones and the buttons and stuff like that. And my sister's mother-in-law, my brother-in-law's mother and father, were both there. And my brother-in-law's mother, I used to work with. She's a teacher, or she's a retired school teacher as well. And many years ago, I worked with her. So anyway, she was telling us this story. And I don't know now whether this was when her grandmother was in a nursing home.
I thought it was her aunt or something.
Or aunt or something, I guess. And I guess, because my sister and I were saying how my mother plays the two of us off each other, but my mother doesn't get the fact that I talk to my sister all the time, and we compare notes. So, like, you'll say to my mother, "So, have you seen Lori this week?" My sister. And she goes, "No, I haven't seen her for a while." Yeah, my sister was there. My sister goes over at least once a week, too, just like I do. And then she'll tell my sister the same thing about me. But both my sister and I know when we go over there, because I said we're in communication with each other all the time. So we were laughing about that. Well, that's what her mother-in-law said. I guess with an aunt, there was 2 daughters or something. One would go over
Every day.
to visit. It was her mother. And her sister, I guess, went over on a fairly regular basis, but not every day. And so when one would go over, she'd say, "Well, have you seen my sister?" And she'd say, "Oh, she hasn't been here in months." And then she was just here last week. And then the other one who went every day, she'd tell the other sister, "Oh, yeah,
No,
same
actually,
thing."
what happened was that one sister went over, and the other sister she saw the other sister leaving
Oh,
the building.
that's right. That's how it
right?
went, yeah.
On the way out. But when she went to see her mother and said to her, "Oh, have you seen this other sister?" She goes, "No, I haven't seen her in a long time."
Yeah, and she just passed her on
Yeah,
the way
on the way.
out. So, anyways, we talked about that. And my nephew and niece were both there. My niece works now.
Mind you, maybe your memory's going.
Whose?
Your mother's.
There's a lot of things going on my mother, but I don't know what's real and what isn't real. I should probably phone up the nurse practitioner there and just say I've observed this with my mother. Because lately, Walter thinks she's got the early stages of dementia. I don't know. She might not. I think it's more or less lack of stimulation, and that's her problem. I mean, not to be harsh about it, but I mean, she doesn't.
I mean, there isn't a whole lot of stimulation in the nursing home.
But she doesn't take advantage of any of the stimulation that is there. They do have things, activities and things, and she just poo-paws it all.
Well, not only that, she only watches one TV station. She doesn't know how to change the channel.
Yeah, I know. Well, she likes her Bravo. So, station, it's got some of the old shows on it, like the Waltons or things like that. But whatever. I don't know. I should probably inquire just to see. I know that they keep tabs on her. They're very good there.
Yeah.
And if there was a major problem or something, they would certainly let me know. I know that for a fact. So, I don't know. But anyways, we're back on her. So it was nice at my sister's. My sister had one of Walter's favorite foods. She made lamb, okay? Now, I kind of like lamb in, infrequent and small amounts, kind of a deal. I'm always a little afraid of lamb because back when I was a kid, my mother would buy it sometimes. And in those days, all we could get was mutton. And it was gamey and icky. And my mother probably didn't cook it properly either. I don't know. But in the last, in this century, you can get
It was very mild.
Yeah.
But, no, sometimes I have to be in the mood for it,
Well,
I guess.
I thought it was very
never.
tasty. But there's a friend of ours, another teacher that I used to work with, who actually taught my sister. And she's this particular person, Yvonne's her name. She's a really good friend to my sister's mother-in-law. Everything is incestuous in education. So she has this great recipe where she marinates the lamb before she cooks it for so and stuff. And I've had it before, and it is very tasty. And usually if my sister makes lamb, she uses what we call Yvonne's recipe. So I said to her, is this Yvonne's recipe? And she says, no. She says, pulls it out. It comes frozen. It was Australian lamb, but it's sold here by one of our major grocery store chains, Loblaws. It was President's Choice. That's a brand of theirs. And it's already marinated in the whole bit, and you just basically take it out of the package and cook it, and it's good. And I thought that was pretty good. And the price isn't bad. I think a package of it was $20, and it was a fair amount in there. I said to Walter, maybe we should get some and try it, but I don't.
If you want.
Oh, yeah, see, when he says that, it means if you want. He says, I don't want it. Don't do it. I'll just pay you lip service, but I really won't want to eat it. So I won't worry about that. Laura says, is your mom at extended care? No, my mother's in Bowmanville. Strathaven. And it's owned by the Durham Christian Homes, and they're excellent there. The building is old, so when you walk in, you look at it and you go, oh, kind of thing. It's clean and everything. It's just old. But they're building a brand new one. And if all goes well, my mother may get placed in the new one, and it'll be like state of the art. Right now, for example, their dining room is down in the basement of this building. My mother's on the second floor. So when we go over to visit her, we usually go around, we do this on purpose. When we go over on a Tuesday to visit her, we usually go around 11 o'clock because at about 11:30, they're already starting to line them up in their wheelchairs to take them down the elevator to the basement for lunch. And the elevator only holds so many at a time. And it's kind of a slow process. I wouldn't want to have to do that. I mean, work there and do that every day.
I mean, a lot of the time is spent, dragging them downstairs and dragging them back up. But actually, they're pretty good in that. I think what they do is, they have a lot of they'll have activities down on
down on that floor as well.
On that floor where not restaurant, the dining room is, and so they'll keep them down there for a while once they're down there.
Yeah, once they're down there and get some activities in for them. And it's sort of like an auditorium area where they have entertainment and things at various times. Like they're having a special Mother's Day luau on May the 10th. And I got tickets for us to go. My sister You only can have 2 tickets, and it costs you $5 a ticket, kind of a thing. And I think they're just having a light snacks enough. But it's right after they've all had their lunch, because their lunch runs from about 12 to about 1 or so, and this thing starts at 1:15. So they've got them watered and fed, and then they're going to have this little entertainment for probably an hour or something. So I said to my mother, was she interested in going to that? Like, they would have probably taken her down to it anyways, whether we were going or not. But I just want to see, I feel a little guilty if I didn't go, because I'm thinking, well, if other people have their, like other mothers there, have their family or some family there, my mom's going to feel left out if we don't show up, kind of a deal. And sometimes it's not easy to get tickets for these things because it fills up pretty quick. There was a couple of other events when we couldn't get tickets for them, like they were gone. So this time I got proactive and I got immediately sent an email to the person that coordinates it and it says, can you reserve me 2 tickets? I'll be in on Tuesday. I'll pay for them then. And they said, sure, no problem. So I said to my sister, okay, this is happening. I figured my sister would be working. She works in a flower store. And it's
so any major event, she's busy. So
yeah, any major event, she's busy. But also, yeah, because like Mother's Day, that's a biggie for them, and so she's working all weekend and on Friday. And much to Walter's chagrin, my sister can't go. So
that's okay. I've been in my mom was in a nursing home for years, so I'm used to nursing home like activities. So
yeah. So anyways, yeah, we're going. And now I haven't told her yet that we got tickets. I would have told her that on the phone when I called her today, except, well, yeah. So, let's see. Anita says, good care is worth its weight in gold. I've seen newer care facilities that look good, but care is not. Yes, that's true. Anyways, I assume in this new facility, it's still owned by the same company, the whole bit. And I mean, basically, they'll be moving staff from hers over there as well. So I imagine it'll be just as good. And combination of it being just as good and in something that's a little bit more modern, where her dining room, for example, will be on the same floor as she's on, so they don't have to worry about pushing them around and in an elevator. And they do it now so that it's pods, so it's much smaller. Like, she's in a dining room right now with about 200 people. And because everybody eats in the same dining room at the same time. In the new model, they have these pods. So they have like about 25 people to a dining room, and it's all, their living accommodation is all centered around this, their activities, everything. Which makes things a little bit more personable, I think, a little bit more comfortable for both the staff and the residents. So I'm hoping that they get this thing finished soon. It'll probably be another year with it. And then I'm hoping my mother gets a chance to be able to go in there as well. So we'll see. And she's going to be right next door to her best friends because they live in an apartment building, a seniors residence that's owned by the same company that runs the nursing home. And the 2 buildings are side by side. So her best friends, who are older than my mother but are mobile, not in a nursing home, they'll be able to get over to see my mother a little bit more often that way. So we'll see what happens. I live in hope. So that was Easter dinner. My nephew is graduating. Finally. A degree in political science. Well, that'll get him nothing. But right now he's going to university in Ottawa. And he lives in Ottawa too. And he's got a job in Ottawa. Like, it's a part-time job, but it sounds to me like this job might become much more full-time. I think he's aiming to become manager of a Banana Republic. I've got a 4-year degree that took me 5 years to get in political science, and I might rise up to as high as manager at a Banana Republic. Okay. Maybe I'm biased, but, well, who knows. He wanted to be a politician. I don't know if he still does. I hope not. So, Anita says, how's your weather? Chicago had snow.
It's been cool here.
But no snow.
But no snow yet.
No.
We had a lot of rain a couple of days ago.
But really, it's a bit frosty for the end of April. But
yeah. We had some nice warm days last year. Last week, sorry.
Yeah, last week.
And but then all of a sudden it's cold again. So
yeah, so
it's not cold enough to produce snow, but it's still cold.
Laura says it's cool and sunny here. Yep. It's more like fall weather instead of spring. But who knows? The seasons are all screwed up anyways anymore. Must be global
Well,
warming.
how do you say that it's fall weather? I mean, spring is usually cool too.
Well, yeah, but like, it's a
And-
different cool.
Yeah.
I
Now
know.
the trees have buds on it, and in the fall
I
the trees
stand
leave.
to be corrected. Jeez. You, my brother-in-law, my sister, I open my mouth and everybody's
Fall.
got to criticize me. Why don't you just let me wallow in my own ignorance?
No, fine. Go ahead. And
Anyways, yeah, wallow. So we had friends over for the weekend. I mentioned this last week that they were coming, and they left this morning after we took them out for brekkie. And it was nice to catch up with them because Walter, of course, brought it to my attention that it's been more than a year since we saw them last.
Yeah.
So we made arrangements to see them again in August. We're going. They just live in Toronto. It's not like a major thing, but this is what.
I mean, we get like we're either they're on holiday or we're on holiday or something like that, right? So,
Yeah.
So or they're busy doing one thing or another. They have friends too, I guess, that have moved to Mexico, so they've
Gone down
gone
there.
a few times.
And because they're retired as well, they can kind of come and go as they please. So, anyways, we've made plans to get together in August. We have a date. They own a boat, a large sailboat kind of a thing. So, something we're hitting the beach. That part doesn't thrill me. But I do know mostly there'll be a lot of booze. They come, they visit us, they bring a liquor store. They bring how many?
I mean, Bill brings 6 bottles of wine with him.
Yeah.
And then Mark, I guess for some reason I must not drink the right beer because he always brings his own beer. So.
Yeah, well, probably. Yeah, but I mean, like, we have wine for you. It's okay. Like, kind of. I usually send it home with them, but it was nice to see them. And they had been to Australia. They'd been on a cruise somewhat similar to the cruise we did the first time we went, like from New Zealand to Australia to Sydney, kind of a thing. And so we kind of compared notes about what we saw and all of that kind of thing. So I think they enjoyed that cruise. It was a repositioning cruise, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's left like Vancouver or left Los Angeles or something like that. And then
Yeah, and they went to
went on-
Hawaii, and then,
Yeah, it went all the way down.
yeah. So, it sounded interesting. Okay, so that's that. All right, here's the story of the week. Now, I'm going to do a little follow-up on this story tomorrow on my rant during my vlog. But we've had a bit of a horrendous week in here. Trying to do something simple that our internet provider and phone provider and TV provider, which is called Bell Canada, basically, to make a somewhat very long story short, we have what they call a Home Hub 2000 modem. That runs our internet, that runs our television, all that kind of stuff. We got that, we upgraded to what they call optical fiber television with that modem about 2.5 years ago. At the time, the guy was supposed to, that came out, the technician, he was supposed to give us a 3000,
Home Hub 3000.
which was supposed to be better with it. It has like
It
12.
was newer.
Yeah, it has more antennas in it, better reception, better, all that kind of stuff. So that's fine. But he said to us at the time, how's your 2000 working? Because we had 2000 at the time. And I said, well, it's fine. But of course, we're going with the 5 TV in that. So, we need the 3000. He says, no, you don't. He says there's been a lot of problems with the 3000. A lot of people have been sending them back to Bell. A lot of people are having a lot of problems with it. I recommend if you haven't had any problems with the 2000, it'll work with 5 TV, no problem. He says, hang on to it because there's too many bugs in the 3000. Well, he's the technician. I took his word for it. So he did. But lately, in the last little while, and we think maybe that's one of the reasons we've had some of the freeze-ups.
We'll see today.
Yeah, we'll see today. Because his connection has been dropping a few times, and we've had it drop other things too. So I thought, okay, I'll call up Bell and I'll ask about switching over to the 3000. Now, this was simple in my mind. We have Bell stores. You take the old one in, they give you the new one, bye-bye. But I also know that on our bill, it says we already have a 3000. But that was because of this guy. He, for some reason, told them we had a 3000 or didn't tell them that we were keeping the 2000 at the time. I never questioned it. I just said, yeah, big deal. Well, it is a big deal. I went through 7 different agents. I do it by chat mode. I don't do it by telephone mode, talking to them, because one, I don't understand them. Because Bell does out of country support. Outsourcing. And so it's somebody in India or wherever, and I'm sorry, I can't understand what they're saying. And most of the time, they don't know what they're doing either, because their training or whatever sucks. And so if I go on chat, it's the same people. But when you're typing, I don't hear an accent, I see words. Mind you, the English is at times a little broken, but I can understand it. And they seem to answer the chat stuff a little quicker than the phone. Usually on the phone, you go through 12,000 different menus before you connect to the right department, and then you're left on hold for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Your call's important to us, and it will be answered in by priority. Please stay on the line. And then they come in every 30 seconds telling you the same thing. And no one ever answers until forever. So anyways, I went through 7 agents, 5.5 hours. I was in chat. I never moved off of the chair from my computer. So from 10 o'clock in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon before I got things resolved. Because they kept trying to get into my account and they couldn't. And they kept saying the same thing. I had to validate who I was, to the point where I started to type that stuff in my word processor and I just cut and pasted into the chat. They kept saying, oh, you already have a 3000. I said, no, I don't. And I'd have to tell them the story I just told you about the technician. I had that in my word processor. I'd cut and paste that in. Then they'd go to another level and they kept, well, it's got a 3000. It won't let us in the system or something like this. I'll put you through to, and then they were gone. I'd sit there for 20, 25 minutes looking at a screen where it was flashing up that same message about stay on the line. Someone will be with you very shortly. Sorry for the wait, but we're experiencing larger than usual volume of calls. I mean, how many times have I heard that from anybody you call on the phone, right?
It's because they have like one operator handling like all the stupid calls or whatever.
Yeah. So, short end of this story is Walter says to me, I'm composing a letter of complaint while this is going on because I'm just grabbing the stuff as it happens and I'm doing blow by blow description of what I'm going through, even to the point where I'm doing direct quotations from what they're typing in the little chat box to me about stuff. Walter says, why don't you take what you've written and put it on their Facebook page and see what kind of answer you got? So I did. Wow! Bingo! Suddenly on my phone, a messenger, I have got Trish, who puts me over to Juliana, who are like people who are obviously upper echelons. I think they're in their resolution center or something.
They are monitoring what people put on Facebook. So obviously when people get ticked off enough, they put something on Facebook. And actually, I logged on to Facebook right after he posted that stuff, and that stuff never made it to Facebook.
They blocked it off. But anyway, so I've got somebody there. At the same time, I'm now talking to agent number 7, Joanna. Now, Joanna sounded like I explained everything to her. There's a transcript. It records. Like you can, after you finish the call, you can have the transcript emailed to you, or you can print it right from your computer of everything you've typed and they've typed. And they supposedly have access to this. But every time they don't, either they couldn't read or something, or they didn't really have access to it because I had to repeat myself again.
Probably because it takes time for them to read it and they don't have any time.
No. So, anyways, Juliana said that she was so sorry. I understand, she says. I'm so sorry you're having this problem. I can help you with this. And Joanna, the other one, she's saying yes, she could get a modem sent out to me, and I just send back the other one. There'd be instructions how to do it, and I'm thinking, finally, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I've been on it since 10. I'm getting somewhere. Except then Joanna comes back and goes, "Can you give me your name as it appears on your bill?" Yes, Stephen E. Bland. I'm looking at my bill. It's right on my screen in front of me. 2 minutes later, she comes back. "I'm sorry, that doesn't work. Could you give it to me exactly as it's printed on your bill?" I said, "I just did." This went back and forth 3 times. The next time it came up, the 4th time, I'd actually highlighted all the information in the header of my bill that had my name, my address, my telephone number, my account number, and pasted it into the chat. And finally, somehow she got into the account, and guess what she says to me? "Oh, I see on your account you already have a 3,000. At that point, I want to cry. And I had to explain again for the umpteenth million time. Meanwhile, Juliana on the other end, I'm telling her all this stuff. She comes back, "Oh, it says you have a 3." I just about threw my phone right through my computer screen at that point. So, explain that to her. Finally, Joanna is able to get in my account. She must have had a higher authority and was able to override, because it wouldn't let them in for some reason, because it said it had a 3,000, and bad programming. And finally, she says to me, "Okay, I'm in." And she says, "All right, can you give me your home address?" It's on the bloody bill. It should be on your computer screen. I just pasted that in. Okay. I type in my address for her. And she said, "Oh, it doesn't seem to recognize that. Do you have another address?" I wrote back, "No, I live in only one house." And then finally she got in. And meanwhile, Juliana on the other end, she knows I'm talking to Joanna. At first I didn't bother to tell her that. I figured, well, you can figure it out, because I thought maybe between 2 of them, one of them will get me what I want. And she says, "Okay, Joanna's got it carried over." And then Joanna came on and said, "Yep." She says, "Okay, I'm sending that out. It'll be 3 to 5 business days to get it, and there'll be instructions on how to send the other one back and everything. Is there anything else I can help you with today?" "Yeah. Could you sign me up for a really good massage right now and some painkillers? Because you guys have given me a pain in the head." "No, Juliana, thanks very much for your help. It only took 5.5 hours. Juliana, in the meantime, she's about to go, "Well, thank you for contacting Bell, and we're so sorry about this." And I said, "Where do I send my letter of complaint? No, you're not getting off the hook this easy." She says, "Well, we read your letter of complaint." And I said, No. I said, "I have more. You've only seen the first 3/4 of it. I still have more to write about this whole fiasco." And that. "Oh," and I said, "And if I don't get a proper response from Bell to my letter, I'm taking this to the CCTS, which is the telecommunications government body that supposedly regulates these kind of things." "Oh," she says, "I'm sorry it's come to this." And I said, "It shouldn't have come to this. 5.5 hours? 7 different agents, and then 2 executives? Really? No." So I said, "So pending on how Bell responds to my letter will dictate whether I send it to them or not." So she did give me the email address that I needed to send that to. So fine. The next day, the modem came. But Julianne, in the meantime, said, "You may not get it until about Friday or possibly the 1st of next week." This is a Monday. She says, "But I will be in contact with you to see how that's working out and everything like that." Okay, thank you, Juliana. Next day, the modem arrived. 2.5 hours later, we got it hooked up so that it worked. They have a 1-sheet instruction page. Now, luckily, we're not amateurs to this stuff.
Because the instruction page didn't have all of the instructions on how to put it in.
And we have a lot of devices that run off our modem, like over 20 devices. We have printers, many computers, our phones, our tablets, TV, all this stuff. Walter went online to look in their documentation center about things to see if he could find out what wasn't working right. And they would say, "Oh yeah, if this isn't working right, do this, this, and this, and this, there's a checkbox here and this." And no, we don't have a checkbox for that. And then find another document that would counteract that document. So it was confusing, but we got it up and running. So everything's fine. It's there. It's set up. It's gone. Friday, Juliana phones me. But at the time, I was on the phone with my mother. And then after I got off the phone, I saw my little call waiting.
Goes figures.
Yeah.
When you never get a phone call all day or whatever, and then the minute you pick up the phone and make a phone call to somebody else, that's when somebody calls you.
Yeah. So I called her back. I get her voicemail. And I said, okay, hi, Juliana, just returning your call. I said, if you want to get a hold of me, I said, I'm available between this time and this time. And fine. Well, about 10 minutes later, she did call me back. And I said to Walter in the meantime, I said, she's not going to be prepared for me because they're not getting off the hook on this one. I said, and there's nothing, like I was a school teacher, okay? You don't want to cross us. And Walter's sister used
to work in the complaints department at Bell. And she said, my sister wasn't very good with people that really complained. And she said that the two people she hated the most were teachers and English people for some reason. I guess English people complain a lot.
I don't know. So anyways, Julianne is on the phone. She goes, and how are you? I said, I'm fine. How are you, Julianne? Oh, I'm fine. That's great. She says, so I'm just checking in to see, did you get your modem? And I said, yes, we did. Were you able to get it installed? And I said, after 2.5 hours, we did. Oh, did you call our technical support? I said, no, because I wasn't prepared to sit on the phone for 5.5 hours trying to get somebody that knew what they're talking about. I said, I finally figured it out. It's all set up.
Why that technical support probably wouldn't be able to help us because we were trying to do something that was a little bit more than what the basic installation was.
Well, we were trying to get all our devices to operate on it, for one thing, which still shouldn't have been a problem.
No.
Should have picked them up automatically. But anyways, so Juliana then goes, okay, and I'd already sent off my letter of complaint. I went through it. It was 3 pages long. I sent it to that address. Well, she had obviously seen the letter. And she says, so we do have your letter, and I have forwarded that letter to some of our people here. And I said, yeah, what about the compensation? Because in my letter, I said, I wanted compensation for the fact that I'd gone through this hell. And she says, well, we don't compensate for time, but what I can do is we can compensate you up to $100, which is exactly how much I pay for my internet every month for that. And I said, well, fine, I'll take that. So that would give me 1 month free, basically, from that. And I said, well, I thought I'd ask her a few questions. I said, but quite frankly, you advertise excellent service. That's in all your ads, that you give excellent service. I said, so here's my question. Is waiting 5.5 hours to do something that was basically very simple, and going through 7 different agents in that time, one hung up on me, whether by fault or by plan, I don't know, during that time. I said, do you think that's reasonable? Does that fall under the qualification as excellent service? She wasn't prepared for me to question her, okay? And so she sort of started to read from her script. And I said, Juliana, I said, I used to be a high school teacher. I wouldn't want your job, but I said I had to put out fires for 31 years with parents, administrators, teachers, kids, the whole bit. So really, I don't feel sorry for you. I said, I'm asking you a direct question, so why don't you put the script down and, give me some honest answers here. Well, that kind of frustrated her a little bit. And I said to her, my complaint is not with you. You are just doing your job. My complaint is with your company. I said, you're not training your people properly. You outsource your support line. The reason we have figured out now why the technician told us to keep the 2,000 and why it said that we had a 3,000 is because he reported that he had installed a 3,000, but he didn't. He was probably black marketing them.
Because they outsource their installation.
Because they're not actually a Bell technician. They are a third party. And that's how Bell operates, to keep their costs down, maximize their profit, like all companies do, right? So she kind of agreed with me on that. And anyways, so I got it off my chest. I said, I guess, she said, well, if you send the letter to the CCTS, she says, they're not going to do anything because we've already resolved the solution. I said, what resolution do we have? Well, that I'm getting $100 compensation and that everything is working now. I said, well, I'll still see. And then she says, "Oh, I'm looking at your services now. I think I can save you some money. Would you like to hear about some promos we have?" Now, they call me once a month with promos and that kind of stuff. And it's just to get you to buy more services. And my first reaction was, no, I'm not interested. I've had these calls. But then I thought, what the heck? Well, I'm glad I said that, because she took $27 and some odd cents off of our home telephone bill, because we still have a landline, because that was a promo, and it's for as long as we have the phone and don't change the package forever. So that was $27, $28 we saved there. She gave us free for 12 months their television station, which is Crave. Kind of crappy, but we have subscribed to it off and on because there's certain shows that come on it that we can't get on other places, like, Star Trek Discovery, Handmaid's Tale, that kind of stuff, Letterkenny, that kind of thing. So that's a year free on that one. So that's about $120 value, but it means like $10 we're not paying a month for that. And our internet, we pay $94 and some odd cents before taxes for internet. She took off, I think it was $32 from that same service. And again, that's ongoing. That's for as long as we keep with that package. If we change the package, then that changes everything. So basically our phone bill before tax was $214 a month, just dropped to $144 a month. So I said to Juliana, well, I guess I might as well consider that part of my compensation that I was mentioning in my letter. Therefore, I am not going to send the letter to the CCTS. That seemed to make her happy. She'd done her job. Everything was resolved. And we are back to being happy campers. All because all we wanted to do was get the modem we should have had in the first place, which should have meant switcheroo at a Bell store and plug it in and away you go. Apparently not that simple. So that was a long saga on that. Now, what are people saying here? Laura says, you have 5? Yes, we do, Laura. God, that was like me on the phone to the tax center, she says. What a mess, said Anita. Arg, frustrated for you, Carol says. Oh, Brenda's back. She goes, hello, Stephen and Walter and all. So nice to be back to a live show. Do you miss me? Did you miss me?
Yeah, we were wondering.
What happened to you. We thought you dropped off the face of the planet, Brenda. So it's nice to see you back. Tracy says, this ish is why people are sick. It's aggravation. And Virginia says, for Cincinnati Bell, I would have them schedule a technician to come out to install the new boxes and modems. You can do that, but there's no guarantee that those guys that come out here know what they're doing. And if we didn't know what we know, that would have been the thing to do. But we know. We just have to be technical.
Never really thought about that.
What?
Asking to
have
the thing is they won't come out and give us a new box because our account still showed that we had
a 3000.
Actually, what we should have done was called the installer and called them and said, well, we have a malfunctioning unit.
Yeah. But who knows? Prey says, did Stephen say Crave or Create? No, Crave. It's called Crave. Crave.
Which is only really in Canada, so.
Oh, and Tracy says there's an artsy PBS station called Create here.
I mean, there's another major company here called Rogers that does.
But their service is no better.
But years ago we left them because
their service
was lousy. And I know of other people that actually who have been employed at Rogers who now get Bell.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't win because they both suck. We don't have that many choices here in our area. It's either Bell or it is Rogers. There's Shaw, which probably isn't any better.
Shaw is related to Rogers.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No. And then there's Comcast, isn't there?
No, Comcast
is that American?
That's like having an Apple box.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, so anyways, for now, everything seems to be working properly. We keep our fingers crossed. And I'm saving a little money. So, yay. We can have more of these now because we can afford them. Yeah. Laura says, I don't know what modem I have. and I know I have fast internet and 5 TV bundled.
More than likely,
You probably
depending
have
on
550. That's what we've got.
No, more or less, you probably have the 3000 hub
Mm-hmm.
because that, unless you got it a long time ago. So
Yeah, like if you got it more than 3 years ago, you might not have a 3000. But if you've got it in the last 3 years or so, that's what they replaced all the 2000s except ours with 3000s. So, Priest says Comcast originally was a small Philly cell phone company. Okay, so I've heard that term.
well,
in the past.
Comcast we hear from the U.S., but I don't think
Yeah.
we can get it in Canada.
No.
So
But whatever. So that's done. So, anything in the news that was worthy? What's his nibshit been doing this week? Oh, so he's still fighting with the teachers.
oh, yeah, now he's taken away.
And when I say
Oh,
nibshit, I mean our premier of our
There
province.
was a certain amount of money that the our provincial health would cover.
Oh,
if you
for
were travel out of province.
travel insurance.
And they've taken that away
Yeah.
now.
Well, have they actually taken it away yet? Or
Well,
they're-
no, supposedly in October
Yeah.
it's done.
So, yeah. So that's
So
one
that
thing.
means if we travel and we want medical insurance, we have to pay. We always had to pay it to top it up, right? But now, since we're not getting any benefit from them, then
The insurance companies are gonna be more expensive.
Companies are going to be more expensive. So.
Yeah, with it. So now we have a certain amount of coverage through the insurance that we have independently, like.
Yeah, but I bet you my premiums will go
Oh,
up.
probably. And then Laura says, no, he came up with 1 billion, so no teacher will lose a job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. That's public. That's publicity. So he says that no teachers will lose
Yeah.
their jobs. But that's what they're telling the public. But you can bet there will be layoff notices.
Oh, yeah. Or there'll be redundancies.
Yeah.
That's what it's called in education, the redundancy, meaning you don't
Yeah.
have a job. You know, like the first 7 years of my teaching career, I was on the, what did they call it, list.
Surplus?
Yeah, surplus list. But that meant that you may not have a job in the school you were at then, but somewhere in the board they would place you somewhere. But if they declared you redundant, that meant then you didn't have a job, period. And most of the time in my career, that would come out every year, but I don't think, because of people retiring and stuff like that, I don't think anybody in my board that I know of actually ever got fired. But that was an internal thing with the board. This now is the government being pricks with it. I mean, they're increasing class sizes. So if you increase class sizes, that means less teachers with it. And it also means poor education as well. And it just opens up a whole can of worms. He doesn't know what he's up for come the fall, but
There was something else they was doing to teachers. I can't remember what it was.
he's just such a bastard.
Anyway.
He's just a vindictive little boy who, if
Yeah.
he can't get his own way and couldn't get his own way, he's penalizing the city of Toronto like crazy because he and his brother were on the council.
Well, they also removed
they didn't get what they wanted.
funding for, like a lot of the cities have health boards and stuff like that. And he decreased funding for Toronto's health board,
Yeah.
too.
He's just an idiot.
Oh, the other thing they're doing with teachers, which may not have been publicized that well. Teachers have a big union and they have seniority. Like the longer
yes.
you teach, you have seniority. So now what happens is if a principal has to hire a new teacher in their department or in their school or whatever, they have to select the person with the most seniority from
Yeah.
the people that apply.
Yeah.
Right? And they want to get rid of that.
Yeah, well, if he starts on the
To
teachers...
me, that's union busting.
Yeah, well, every government that comes in wants to union bust, and
Yeah.
the teachers' union is pretty strong. One of the strongest unions in Ontario, if not in Canada. And our union has been put up against the wall before, and they've come out fighting and have won. And better people than him have gone after them. So good luck with you, Ford, fighting our union, or the teachers' union. Laura says that no one got one this year, meaning a surplus thing. As the date has passed, at least at Wilson, they're still hiring. That's my old high school, and that's where Laura works too. Well, that's good. But in our board here, it's always been a board that's been growing because lots of development out here and things like that. So usually we don't get affected. But the smaller boards out in the more rural areas and things like that, they tend to have some problems. So who knows? We'll see what this all brings up. Roy says New York City had something called the ATR, Absent Teacher Reserve. New York City has surprisingly a problem getting substitute teachers, so new teachers are placed in the district to go where needed on any given day. That's interesting. And he said, Roy says, I only spent 1 year as an ATR, and it was not a good job. No. So I'm glad I'm retired. That's all I can say. And you probably are happy about that as well, Roy, that you're retired. So anyways, he's just a dick. And yeah, what can you do about that? And I noticed Anita said that had just ordered the Mueller report to read. Too much to read on a tablet. Yeah, I still a little confused about what the Mueller report is all about. It sounded to me like it basically got Trump off the hook for, the things they were saying about the Russians and the election and stuff like that. But then I've heard other reports that says, no, there's a lot more to it. But the people putting out the report did an edited version or cut down version for reporters, and basically it sounded like they hid some of the juicy stuff. I don't know how that works. So anyway, moving on. What are we watching? Well, we're still watching the OA second series. It is really weird, but it's good. It's quite intriguing, but it is one of the weirder shows that I've ever watched. But if you want to see something that's kind of funny, and it doesn't take long to watch the whole thing, because each episode of this, the Bonding,
Bonding.
It's only about what?
On Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's called Bonding. It is about...
Has a bit of a gay theme to it as well, too. So
there's a dominatrix, and her friend, who is a gay guy, becomes her assistant, and it just goes on from there. It's supposed to be a comedy. It is fairly funny, but it's a little weird, too. But like I said, I think there's, 8 episodes?
Yeah, and they're all like 15 to 17 minutes long. So
yeah. So if you want a good laugh and something that you can purge watch and finish like in about 2 hours...
Binge watch.
Binge watch, whatever. Purge watch, binge watch.
That's purges when you throw up something.
Okay, well, they both start with P, so I was close. I stand to be corrected.
When an English teacher, you don't know the difference between binge and...
I'm retired now. I'm losing my English skills. Bite me hard. Laura says, yes, I only have 2 episodes of the OA left, but then, Game of Thrones started. Yeah, we don't get the channel that it's on, sort of. Walter got something this week. We should not talk about it.
No, we don't talk about
We not talk about that. So sorry. Never mind. We watched a couple of movies, one on Netflix and one on Prime. One was called Dead in a Week. And it's a comedy. And there's this young guy who wants to kill himself, but he tries about 10 times to do it and he can't do it. So he hires a hitman, an assassin, a professional to kill him. And then it gets more intriguing from there, and it's
kind of a dark comedy.
It's kind of a dark comedy, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's English, I think. And then we saw one. It's sort of
English like in UK.
Yeah. And then we watched one on Prime called The Machine, and it's sort of like it has a lot of blood and guts.
I think it was a UK production as well.
Yeah, about a woman who basically they implant stuff into her, make her into a killing machine kind of a thing. That thing's been done before with, Terminator and other things too as well. But it was an amazing little time waster. And I'm still reading the same book I've been reading for a long time.
What else was I watching? There was something else we were watching.
What? We watched, what? Was it?
OA and Bonding. Oh, Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah, Twilight Zone.
I'm not sure if I like the new Twilight Zone that much. Like, I always liked the old Rod Serling ones, but the new one so far, it's okay, but it's not really... I think I read reviews that it's not Twilighty enough.
Well, yeah, but what could be Twilighty enough now? Like, when the Twilight Zone, the original, was on TV, it was something very new, very different for television in those days. Now, we've seen it all. Mm-hmm. Like, you've got to do something really... Like, the OA is really different.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is something a little bit different out of it all. Twilight Zone, I figured they were just going to remake some of the old stories or modernize them. And I'll bet you they have done that with some of them. But I never watched the Twilight Zone when I was younger anyway.
I watched it. I watch the reruns.
Well, it's because you're dark.
Yeah, I like
Yeah, you like dark stuff. But well, I never watched it. Well, probably in those
that.
days.
I used to watch Night Gallery.
I used to watch Night Gallery. I liked Night Gallery. But see, Night Gallery came like a long time after Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, what? Started in the late 50s or early
Yeah,
60s?
well, it was when I was a little kid, and we used to, and
Wow, you're old.
No, I was younger. I wasn't conceived then. I don't think, but anyway.
No.
But I watched all the reruns.
Tracy's waiting for Unsolved Mysteries.
I'm looking forward to. I always like the Black Mirror series.
Yeah, that comes out of England, out of the UK too. It's pretty
It's
good.
Brooker. It's Charlie Brooker.
Yeah, it's Charlie Brooker. Yeah, it's pretty good. They've had what 3 seasons of that?
Yeah. No, actually, technically, it's 5. I think seasons. But like the first season only had like 1 show or something like that.
Oh, Anita says she's been watching American Idol on TV, but mainly reading 2 books a week. Whoa, you're really getting into that, aren't you? And Laura says try watching Unsolved on YouTube. Yeah, well, I've seen Unsolved Mysteries before, the TV show. It's kind of interesting, like that kind of thing, because it's usually about crime things, and there's a kind of television shows I'm not usually attracted to anything that has to do with
Crime.
Crime. I'm not attracted to anything that deals with war.
I like really twisted stuff.
Yeah, again, you're dark, very, very dark. Yeah, twisted stuff. Well, it's the Dutch in you. They're all twisted. So, what's cooking? Well, Walter blew our company away because he made steak last night, but he used the sous vide. And our guests did not know what a sous vide was exactly and how it works, so Walter had to give them the technical details. But see, 3 out of 4 of us like our steak medium rare kind of thing. There's always one in the crowd that has to have it burnt. With the sous vide, you can give everybody what they want, and perfect every time. So that worked out pretty good. And then Walter made a delicious rum cake, which you should use a fork, but you want to use a spoon to get every drop. You're going to show them your cake? Here's Walter's lovely rum cake. And it's laced, I can tell you that. There it is. It's very moist. We'll get in the shot. There you go. That's Walter's rum cake.
And it's got about 1 1/4 cups of rum in it.
Like I said, you'll use a spoon. You want to get every drop out of that. Was it Laura says, no, Unsolved is a couple of guys that either research crime stories or ghost hunting. Oh, okay. So that's not what I was thinking of. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll
maybe
look
take
that
a look
up.
at it.
I'll take a look at that. I was thinking it was, oh, maybe I'm getting that mixed up with the 48 hours unsolved something they have. I don't know. Whatever, but we'll look that one up. Anita says yummy. Tracy says yum. Laura says yummy. Virginia goes, So everybody wants it. And Tracy says, I fry steak in a pan with olive oil and butter. Yeah, whatever you get. But the one thing is you can control. In the sous vide, you can control it to exactly what internal temperature you want it at.
And it's even all the way throughout the
Yeah.
steak. So what I do is I sous vide it to get the cooked steak cooked all the way through, and then I sear it in the pan in clarified butter.
Yeah. I'm just looking here. Yeah, Anita says I'd have that cake for breakfast with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Well, you little elky, Anita. This thing is potent.
Actually, I used to make it and bring it into work, and everybody begged me to bring the cake in. It's an easy cake to make because I actually use a cake mix for it. But everybody, I said, well, somebody said every time they had a potluck, it was like, Walter, are you making your own cake?
It is a crowd pleaser. So we had that. Oh, Tracy says, I tried making cheese with my sous vide stick.
That's
Interesting idea. Who
I'll
knows?
have to look at that.
Walter's made creme brulee in the sous vide.
Yeah, actually, that works out really good.
And we've done lobster tails in it. And when
Yeah,
I
that's
say we, I
actually
mean he.
really good.
Yeah,
lobster.
that always.
Well, actually, take the lobster meat out of the tail and do it because the thorns, and when you put it in boil in the bag or whatever, the thorns of the lobster will stick through the bag.
I didn't know lobsters had thorns.
like the shell, bottom of the
Oh,
shell has
yeah.
kind of
Rough edges.
rough
Yeah.
edges. So, but and it doesn't give proper contact. But I take the meat out and put it into a bag, and they tell you to cook it at about 132 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour, and it comes out really, really tender.
Yeah. Tracy says the milk burned onto the metal part when she was making the cheese. So I'm
Well,
not sure.
you're
So
supposed
how
to
do you
put?
do that? Like,
Well, how do you do that? Because in the sous vide, you're only putting water through it. You're only supposed to put stuff in a boiling bag. You're not allowed to put the sous vide in any other liquid.
yeah, so don't understand how you did that, but or what you were doing with it. Nairee's here. Hi, Nairee. Good morning, Stephen Walter and everyone. Um, so nice to see you, Nairee. Off to school, I assume. And Nairee's in Australia. If some of you don't know who Nairee is. Now, Tracy says I put the sous vide into the milk directly.
Oh, so you're not supposed to
You're
do
not
that
supposed to do
because it's
that.
got a heating element in it, and the milk would burn
Oh
onto the
yeah,
heating element.
yeah, that would do it. Um, and there's something there I was thinking of. Yeah, she says, yeah, Nairi says, yes, back to work today. Um, there was something I was thinking about when we were talking about the food and about the sous vide. Oh, yeah, so when we were in Australia, we had this cheese called halloumi. And we have figured out that halloumi is an unaged cheese that when it's been aged, at least in Greece, it becomes califateri. Califateri is what we thought they made sakinaki with. Sakinaki is, you go to a Greek restaurant and they bring this flaming cheese and they pour ouzo on and go upa and that. And a few years ago, we bought some califateri and it's quite expensive, that cheese.
That's
And
like $50 a pound,
yeah, and then
if no, or
we
maybe
found
half a
out that
pound.
they make, like, we had some of this in Australia and it was fried up and it tastes just like sakinaki. So we did some research and discovered that possibly in the restaurants that's really what they're making sakinaki out of because it's cheaper. So we went on the hunt to see if we could find some halloumi. And there's, in a town next to us, there's a cheese store there and they sell halloumi. So we got some halloumi.
But then
And
I've later discovered one of the grocery stores sells it
yeah,
as well. So.
which is closer. But it's quite good, like fried. And it's got a high melting point, so you can put it in a little olive oil and just fry it up on both sides of it really quick. And it's quite tasty. In fact, in Australia, they have something called halloumi burgers, which are basically considered
Instead of the
vegetarian.
meat patty, you have it's vegetarian, obviously not vegan.
No,
But
yeah.
instead of the meat patty, they have a fairly thick slice of this halloumi cheese.
Yeah. It's quite tasty.
Fried up.
Yeah, it's not a cheap cheese because we bought in this, although you said in the other place it was cheaper, but in the
Yeah.
place we got it in, it was for a little package, like,
Yeah, it was $10, but I saw it in this other place, and for a package bigger than that was $7.
so that's what we got for $10. We bought two of them actually, $20. But the other place he said you could get it for 7 something. It was a little cheaper. But it's already, this one, I think they have slightly different flavors because this one has mint
Yeah, we
in
didn't
it.
know that.
We didn't know that when we bought it. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or
No,
what.
the one that I saw in the other store didn't have any mint in it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, Nairi says we call it squeaky cheese. Yummy. Yeah, because it does. It has that texture to it. I just wish we could get Tasty Cheese here. I like that brand in Australia. Tasty Cheese. That's what they called it, Tasty Cheese, and it really was. It's just your everyday processed cheese, I think. But
No, not processed. It's the regular.
what
cheese.
Tasty Cheese?
It's
isn't
like
processed?
getting a slab of black diamond or something like that.
Actually, Tracy says, is it gooey or is it crumbly? It's neither. It's
It's fairly solid.
it's fairly solid. It's a bit spongy. Like Nairi says, it's kind of squeaky when you.
It's like new cheese, right?
Yeah, it's like curd. You know what curd is, Tracy? Like before cheese gets pressed into blocks for aging. It's what, and it's
yeah.
like that. It's got that kind of texture to it.
Yeah. It's like all the moisture has been pressed out of it, and it's all stuck together. And you can actually, you slice it, it's a bit spongy, But this particular cheese has a high melting point.
Tracy says paneer-like. I don't know what paneer is.
No, I don't think it's paneer.
What's paneer?
Paneer is it's that Indian cheese that they put in stuff sometimes.
Oh, okay.
You know, like if you get, sometimes you can get what do you call it? Samosas with paneer and spinach and filling it.
Oh, okay. News to
I
me.
don't think it's like paneer.
Okay, so it's not. Nairi says an aged cheddar is tasty cheese and very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we quite like it. I first heard about tasty cheese by watching.
Actually, I think it's better than the cheeses. Like we can get cheese here that's similar. They don't call it tasty cheese.
No.
But I find it's a little bit nicer flavor than some of the cheeses they have here. So.
Yeah. Well, the first time I ever heard of it was watching Adele from Inky Quill. She lives in Australia, and she was talking all the time about getting tasty cheese. And when the first time we were in Australia and looked in a grocery store, we saw tasty cheese. So we had to try it. So the last few times we've gone, we always get some tasty cheese because it's tasty and it's cheese and it's good. And Laura says, yes, like curds. I love it. Squeaks. Yeah, that's what this is kind of like.
Except the curds will melt.
Yeah.
This stuff you can fry up and it doesn't really melt that much.
No, it's got a real high melting point to it. So that's why they can make these halloumi burgers, because they put a thick slice of that on instead of a patty. And we never had any of those because we didn't know what halloumi
Well,
was.
no,
but-
actually, last year I accidentally ordered a halloumi burger when I was in
Oh, that's
Sydney,
right. I forgot about that.
And I thought a halloumi burger was something else. And it didn't realize that it was a slice of cheese that I got between.
Yeah. Anita says, do you have any quilting classes coming up? No, but funny, I was going to show you my latest project. I just finished this afternoon. This is what I call my practice quilting quilt, because I did free motion quilting on this. Now you can't really see it on the video, and also I made it purposely, the thread I picked, so it would blend in, because I knew I'd make a lot of mistakes, and I did, but I was getting better at it as time went on. So this was just made from scraps, but here's what the back looks like. Also made from scraps, but you can't see the quilting in it. Now tomorrow on my vlog I'm going to, well actually I've got a little video that I made I'm going to put on my vlog tomorrow where I show you close up what this looks like. So, and I point out, actually I'm going to do an idiot quilter and point out my mistakes in free motion. But it's done. It's been hanging over my head for a while to get this bloody thing done. Because I kept putting it away because I would get frustrated with the free motion, and then after a while I just got into it and kind of went, well, what the heck? So what? Who's going to know? Now I can move on to the other projects that I need to get done. But anyways, I'm actually kind of happy with it. I didn't think
Actually,
I
it
would
looks
be.
nice.
I didn't think I would be, but I was. So surprise, surprise. I'm not sure what quilt number that is. That's just a throw. Thank you. All the nice things people are saying. So, no quilting classes coming up at the moment, but next weekend is the open house when they have all their new classes. I'm at a crop next weekend, starting on the Friday night, doing mixed media stuff. It's a scrapbooker, card maker's crop. And the ladies that come to my art journaling class on a regular basis, we're all going together to us. It's being put on by our local store. It's the first time they've ever have done a crop. And it's in the Legion. And the Legion's licensed. So I'm wondering if we can have a beer as we do our art stuff. Could make art so much more fun. And you'd look at it and think you're a genius when you're doing it. So that's what's going on next weekend. But we aren't changing the time of Stephen and Walter Live because it's done by about noon on the Sunday. So I'll be home in plenty of time for that. And I can talk all about that next week and what happens. Poor Walter's going to be here with nothing to do because while I'm away, he'll be pining for me. Yeah, not likely. Laura says, well, where is it? It's at the Legion on Simcoe Street, Laura, in Oshawa. You know, down, actually just a couple of blocks south of Class Act. That's where they're having it. So we'll see what it's like. Phil says, did you quilt it on a long arm machine?
No.
Nope. Did it on my domestic. Now, speaking of which, though, on June the 8th, we are signed in for a class to learn how to use the long arm.
To learn how to do long arm.
Learn how to do long arm.
Long arm.
Yeah. And this could be dangerous because I know damn well, right? Once I get going on a long arm, I'm going to want one bad, and it's just too expensive. And I haven't got him convinced yet that we should change the living room, dining room over into a sewing room and get a long arm and have ladies come and rent the machine, and we serve them tea and scones and make it really civilized, and that'll pay for the machine and the whole bit. He hasn't yet gotten on the bandwagon about trying that. So, but anyways, yeah. So that's the latest in the quilting world. What else? Yeah, I think we've covered everything for today. Anything else you want to talk about? No? Okay, well, that's about 90 minutes right there almost. So that's our time. We didn't freeze up. Yay. Hopefully the new modem is working properly with this, or who knows. We still don't know why we used to freeze up, but anyways, we didn't. So everybody have a great week. Tune into my vlog once it goes up tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see you next week. So have a good week.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Walter.
Bye. Goodbye, Walter.